Hi, this is Anita from the Dusty Roads podcast. Today we're going to talk a little bit about cultural taboos and why it's really important that wherever you're going to be traveling in the world, that you get to know a little bit about the culture of the place that you're traveling. You know, culture is such an interesting thing because if you don't understand another person's culture or you don't really respect it, there could be a lot of misunderstanding that could take place. For example, I myself, I am American, even though I'm an American who's lived overseas for my entire adult life. And because of that, I feel like I'm quite sensitive towards other people's culture. I've gotten to know and have a lot of friends from other countries, other parts of the world. That's just part of the nature of being an expat and living overseas. But, sometimes I see people that come here and they really somehow think that the country where they're traveling is going to be just like their home, and it's not. An example would be that if somebody from, let's say, another part of the world came to America, ate in a restaurant, and didn't leave a tip, the waiter or waitress would be like, "What? No tip?" Because, tipping is very much a part of the American culture, whether you like it or you don't like it. Most Americans who go out to a restaurant will give a tip anywhere between 15 to 22, maybe 23, even 25%. It just depends upon maybe their mood and how they feel and whatever it is. But tipping is very much a part of the American dining out and the restaurant culture. So you can see from that how important it is really that you understand the culture or the place that you're traveling. So here are some basic taboos we're going to talk about. First of all, let's talk about what is a cultural taboo. They're a deeply rooted belief in historical contexts that vary widely from one country to another. They often involve religion, social hierarchies, historical events, or community values. Taboos dictate what is considered polite, respectful, or sacred. Ignoring these practices can unintentionally lead to offense, even if no harm was meant. So in other words, if you sort of like ignore these cultural taboos, you can end up basically insulting somebody with, not meaning to, but you could really insult somebody and they may think very different of you because of that. So that's why understanding these taboos is important. So let's go through and talk about some of the basic taboos, even though these are going to be very much general ones. Wherever country you're deciding to travel, I cannot emphasize this enough. Learn about the place you're going to travel, learn about their cultural taboos, learn about what is considered right, what's considered wrong, what's considered polite, what's not considered polite. And for Pete's sakes, if you are going to be invited to somebody's home, understand what's considered to be polite. In some countries and societies, you would never go to anyone's home without bringing something. Whether it's flowers or chocolate or wine or whatever it is that people expect that if you're going to come to their home, that somehow you bring something with you. So, just understand if you're going to go to somebody's house, you're going to be invited to a private home, maybe understand a little bit about exactly what that means for that country society, what's considered to be something good to bring if you're going to bring to their home, something's not. I myself always err on the side of caution. I always think that it's always great to bring something. If somebody's invited you in, that you always want to bring something to them. And I always consider that to be just something that you do. I don't think you can ever go wrong and just be nice to somebody like that. So here are a couple of cultural taboos. Thailand. In Thailand, the head is considered the most sacred part of the body. It symbolizes somebody's spirit. So touching someone's head, even a child's, is considered a grave sign of disrespect. Feet, on the other hand, are seen as the dirtiest and least sacred. Don't point your feet at somebody. That is why, also too, when you go to a lot of the Thai temples or the Buddhist temples, they will ask you to cover yourselves up if you're wearing shorts. because that's also considered to be disrespectful. Japan, and in Japan, etiquette in Japan symbolizes harmony and respect. Bowing is a customary greeting. You need to understand, exactly when to bow and how to bow. Tipping is unnecessary and can be offensive, as it implies the person needs extra compensation for doing their job. And public manners like refraining from loud conversation or eating in public transport, strictly observed. A place like Singapore that I was at recently, Singapore, you want to make sure that, you flush the toilet. Don't chew gum there. Singapore's got a whole bunch of different rules of cleanliness and other things that you should abide by when you're there. In India, in Hindu culture, cows are sacred animals. Eating beef or making light of this belief can deeply offend locals. Also, showing the soles of the feet or touching someone with your left hand is considered unclean and should be avoided. So these are all things in India that you should make sure that you adhere to if you're going to travel to India. In the Middle East, in Saudi Arabia, strict laws govern public behavior. Public displays of affection, such as holding hands or kissing, are considered inappropriate and can lead to legal consequences. Women should dress modestly, covering their shoulders and knees, and it's customary for men and women who are not family to avoid physical contact. In the United Emirates, while Dubai and Abu Dhabi are more cosmopolitan, traditional values remain. For example, taking photos of locals without their permission is taboo, especially for women. The left hand is also considered impure and should not be used for eating or passing objects. Europe also has some etiquette that you should understand. Things like Italy, food sacred, never ask for ketchup with pasta or cheese on seafood dishes. This is so interesting, when Americans go there and say, "Can I have some ketchup?" They're wondering, why do you need ketchup on this dish? Avoid ordering a cappuccino after a meal. Italians believe coffee with milk is a breakfast drink. Germany, history plays a role in Germany's taboos. Jokes or comments about World War II, Nazism, or making Nazi gestures are not only offensive, but also illegal. And also in Germany, they love punctuality. So being late, even by a few minutes is not considered to be good, that you should try to be punctual all the time. In Africa, you want to be able to show respect for elders in the communities. In South Africa, personal space and body language matter. Avoid pointing directly at someone with your index finger. Use an open palm when gesturing. Greetings are an essential social ritual, so greeting each person in a group is polite. And in a place like Kenya, elders hold a high status. Greeting them warm and respectful is crucial. When shaking hands, allow the elder to initiate and maintain a firm, respectful grip. South America and Brazil, the OK hand gesture formed by making a circle with your thumb and index finger is considered vulgar. So you don't want to go around saying okay, okay, okay in Brazil. Instead, use the thumbs up or a simple nod for agreement. In Argentina, punctuality at social gatherings is rare. Arriving on time can be perceived as rushing the host. However, punctuality is expected in professional settings. So when you're going to somebody's house, you maybe don't want to arrive exactly right on time. Maybe arrive a few minutes later or 10 minutes later, whatever it is. And if you're going to a business meeting, make sure you arrive on time. United States, we've talked about this already. Tipping is considered an integral part of the service industry. Failing to tip adequately, 15 to 20%, but now they're asking for more than 20% usually, is rude. Avoid topics like personal income, religion, or don't ask an American lady how much do you weigh, or how old you are, or questions like that. People in America don't like those kind of questions, where I know they're acceptable in other parts of the world, but not there. Canadians are known for their politeness, but don't confuse French Canadians with being French. They're not French, they are French Canadians. They have a distinct identity, and respect for their culture is vital, particularly in Quebec. So I've given a couple examples here of some of the cultural taboos, and also I've written a blog post on this called Navigating Cultural Taboos, a guide to travel etiquette around the world. And there I give you actually a couple things that you can do, like things like research before you go, dress appropriately, mind your body language, learn key phrases, and when in doubt, observe. When in doubt and you're in another country, observe. Look around you and see what other people are doing, and then you will be able to understand more of what you should do. Respecting cultural differences does matter. It is a very much an integral part of travel. It's a very much an integral part of living your life as a global citizen. You don't want to go out and offend people. You don't want to be offensive. Instead, you want to make sure that you do all you can to not be offensive and to, at the same time, embrace diversity, embrace the richness of another culture, but don't insult people along the way. So you can check out my blog post, Navigating Cultural Taboos, a guide to travel etiquette around the world. Put a link in the description. We appreciate you joining us on our Dusty Roads podcast. Thank you so much for being part of this community. We certainly do appreciate you.